markets have roared and you may have missed out the best positions. You may be asking, essentially, how does one position your money now? Where are the areas to make money? Which are the areas that you can multiply your wealth? And is it actually anything that can help me to blossom and boom my wealth to $10 million? In this week's video, that's exactly what I'm going to share with you. Hi everyone. If you're new to my channel, notice that I'm Gabriel Yap. I'm the author of best-selling Investing Your Millions in investments like real estate investment trusts, in technology, cybersecurity, as well as a best-selling author of books in such areas in both Chinese and in English. What we go through is very simple. We break down the numbers so that you and I, retail investors, sophisticated investors, will be able to decide how best to invest going forward. Essentially, in this week's video, the first thing that we want to talk to you is basically when it comes to investments, there are three things that you want to be sure. One is security selection, two is market timing, and three, essentially, asset allocation. Now, in our various investment classes, we told our investors since last year that one of the areas on asset allocation is actually a market called Korea. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, with the rip-roaring Korean market going up, the KOSPI surging and outperforming the S&P by almost 3 times. If you have just put your money in Korea, as what we have highlighted to investors, we have tripled your money. And essentially, in the course of doing so, the Korean market, did you not know, has become the 7th largest market in the world after the US, after China, after Hong Kong, and just trailing behind just Taiwan. Yes, you may not be familiar, for example, with big names like SK Hynix or Samsung Electronics, but these two stocks are hugely responsible for a substantial rise in the Korean KOSPI market due to essentially the memory prices going up. Now, this is a trend that essentially we identify, and this is something that we identify in our classes. You can just buy the direct stock, or you can go the direct ETF, and that's where you would have position and make money. In other areas, even during the Gulf War, the current ceasefire situation, now many people have been very puzzled why banks continue to roll in Singapore. And we at GCP Global have pointed out that essentially OCBC will outperform DBS. And true enough, look at this chart, ladies and gentlemen. OCBC, the orange line, versus DBS, the blue line. For the last 6 months now, OCBC has outperformed and thumbs down DBS. And the market has not opened yet this morning, but this week, because of OCBC outperforming results, one more time, you will see that OCBC is poised for newer highs this week, especially when the result shows a 5% increase in its earnings growth compared to DBS, a very lackadaisical 1% earnings growth. Again, when it comes to making money, three things: security selection, in this case, OCBC better than DBS, and asset allocation. So this is another area where you can still make good money. I hated a couple of financial institutions in equity sales, institutional equity sales, before I retired in my early 40s. And guess what? I still enjoy doing what I'm doing, and that's why I shared with you this video. And many of you have come to me and tell me that, hey, how does one actually enable to retire at the age of 40? Very simple. Just go find stocks that will increase and boom to values like 5 million, 10 million. And in my video, essentially, since last year, I've been guiding, yes, this is the video, my next 10 million stocks. It was on Google. And essentially, you notice that I've circled and showed in my previous videos the buy price that I've gotten. That is 115.75. And this was an area that I've shared in my past videos. And this is still reflected in my UBS private banking positions. My latest position shows that as Google closed at 400.8, yes, 400.8, compared to our buy positions, which we recommended in our various investment classes way back in 2002, where my buy price was 115.7465. That was the case, as you can see in the circle, the red circle. I bought 12,400 shares. And based on the price as of Friday, 8th of May, or rather 9th of May, 8th of May, sorry, 400.8, my portfolio on Google A has boomed to $6.299 million, reaping me a profit of $4.48 million. Now, the reason I showed you and I'm showing you online is because I reckon that Google will be my next 10 million stocks. 12,400 shares bought in 2022, bought at the price of 115.75, which I shared in my previous videos. Continue to hold it. Now, this is a testification. If it does hit 10 million, that is the buy and hold strategy of just buying good, great stocks with fantastic economic modes, which we discuss in our classes in detail, is key in generating wealth and multiplying wealth. So that's the only reason why I'm showing you online on my alphabet position. Apparently always sips in, especially during market sell-off. Now, markets are always gripped by fears, and when fears hit the most, that's where we tell our investors in our investment classes, that sometimes you just have to grin your teeth, know the fundamentals well, and take some position. And that's exactly what we did for Oracle. Now, when the CDS or the credit default swaps for Oracle reach a historical high of almost 125 basis points last year. We, as you can see, in my trading position with Maybank Securities, we took a position on 6th of February 2026. 6th February 2026, and we are in May, 3 months ago only. Look at my buy price, it's 139. And look at Oracle share price as of Friday, 9th of May, or rather 8th of May. It's at 195.95, or if we round it up to 196. So I'm sitting on a position of 196 minus the cost price of 139, sitting on a profit of 57 on the shares that I bought, 430 shares. And based on exchange rate of US against Sing dollar at 1.267994 today, I'm sitting on a profit of $31,078. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a small position on Oracle can yield me $31,000 in just 3 months. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly what we get to the core in our investment class. The next of which is this weekend. Yes, do join us. Quickly sign up at our GCP Global website so that we can continue to help you make your millions, multiply your wealth, and just retire before 40 years old. That's what I've done. So, till next week then.